Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
The 17th, 2025, and the pledge of allegiance.
United States of America.
All right, first item is the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
There we go, first and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Approval of order of agenda.
Madam Chair,
Okay.
I would like to add, Ms. Liam.
Okay.
Right after number 8 for compatible use study grant proposal.
I'll second that motion.
The first and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Approval of consent agenda. Bills, employee status changes, May financial report. All had a chance to look at all that.
Madam Chair, I would move approval of the consent agenda.
So the first, your second.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. All right, number 6, we are moving on to citizen comments. Was there anybody in the audience that would like to address the commission at this time? I don't see anybody, so we'll move on to the library director. Hello.
That's not me. I'm Brad Sherwood.
You're not, but
I'm on the library board, but library director went. I'm here just to talk to you and answer a few questions and tell you some of the highlights from the from 2024 at the Grand Forks Public Library. I'm not going to read the brochure to you if you've got this in front of you at some point, but we've got many amazing things happened. One of the things that popped out to me was the 882,000 minutes of children reading during last year's summer reading program. And so we've got a benchmark of what they're trying to beat this year. Got grant funding that had come in. You can see that's number 5. We're at just shy of $40,000 came into grants. We also have 2 fabulous organizations that continue to be very supportive of everything we do. We've got the Friends of the Library that do a music and mocktails thing. I believe it's year 3 or 4 that they have done as a fundraiser at the library, as well as the book sale. And that helps us to generate funds for other programming. The other organization is the Library Foundation, which has just raised money for Giving Hearts Day and is providing the library with its forthcoming a podcasting booth where we're going to be able to do some recording and to do some podcasting, and we've got all kinds of great ideas to use that space. 983 different programs happening in 2024 with more than 40,000 people participating in those programs. 1,865,000 computer minutes and 481 radon kits have been circulated through the community, which is fabulous. As far as reading to children, a couple of quotes that always jump out to me when we're promoting the library, and that is that a quote that is, children become readers in the laps of their parents, and we provide materials so that can happen. And also from Dr. Stu says, you're never too old, too wacky, too wild to pick up a book and read to a child, which we all can take heart and remember that time when we sat with a significant person in our lives and read. For me, it was my grandparents and my mother, and how very, very important that is to every single child. So I'll turn it over to Library Director Wendt, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have at the end.
So we have been up to busy, crazy summer, and we are breaking records, so I just want to let you know a little bit about that. We had 600 people at the summer reading program kickoff, which consisted of 2 hours. This year, we did have to do it indoors because of smoke conditions, but that was right up there with our highest numbers. But then, the following Monday, it was just a Monday, we didn't have anything special. We did have some programs of story time, things. We had over 800 people through our doors in that 12-hour period, which was a record, at least since COVID. So we have been hopping, and then the following Monday, it was like 799 people. So we've been keeping busy. We're also, our main priority this time of the year is to keep kids reading over the summer. Because there is a summer slump, it's officially called, where kids who don't read over the summer lose a lot of skills over that 3 months and have a harder time getting back into the swing when school starts up again. So we're trying to keep them reading, which is the main purpose of our summer reading program, and keep them having fun learning and reading. So part of what we do is during the summer, we have camps. We have 3D printing camp for teenagers coming up. It is full. So we are looking at maybe offering an additional one. Got first Lego League where they learn to build robotics with Legos. Got a couple camps for that. We have 3 one-week camps. So there might still be room in those. We have Will Week, which is William Shakespeare. So it's a theater camp where kids learn to read and memorize parts and learn to read Shakespeare, and then they reenact magic. Right. So, and this is our 4th year, and the kids love it. It's kind of that tween the 12 to 15 age, which is a hard age, and that fills up every year. And then we have our regular things like chess club, and we're doing outreach to Thompson, and we've been out to Larimore. We're doing outreach within the county for kids and childcare centers, but we're also doing outreach to senior centers in town. So we're trying to keep everyone reading and everything happen. And each month's calendar, like I gave you, each month that'll be posted on our website. So if you're looking for something to do, and we have camps for adults, programs for adults, teens, and kids. So there's something for everyone.
Yeah, there's a lot of work at the library, and my kids want to go every single day. We need to let it be quiet there for a while, so we don't go there every day. But yeah, lots to offer from the library for all different age groups. So
It's wonderful to see your kids there, but I especially love the little guy.
my little redhead, yeah, he's just cheese smile all the time, and then running with his brother. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm following. So yeah, it's good. He doesn't like the slides so much yet. We did try to get him to go on the side with his older brother. No, I didn't think that anybody wanted to hear that on the screen. So we are gonna wait that out a little bit longer.
That was the reaction I had.
Yes,
On the
it's
slide.
a little scary, but it's
We
fun.
done once,
Well,
it was very scary, and I was gonna do it again, but then for the grand opening, I'll go down if you go down.
Every time there's a revamping of the library, I feel like there's always, is that it was the children's department, it was the slide, that was like people were flying off of the slide.
Right.
But those are good, but anyway, sorry, we like the library. Any comments for Wendy or?
I got some questions. If you could, not expecting tonight, I'll give you some notes here, and then if you could get this back to Mr. Ford, because we'll be doing the budget Our first presentation will be July 15th, I believe is the date, second. That's the third Tuesday, right? In July. Okay, so we need to, like I said, a week ahead of time. I'd like to know what the, I'm gonna go off what it used to be from the city days, so I don't know what's changed. At that point, you used to have two budgets. You had what I would call a general fund budget, and you had a capital improvement budget. So I'd like to know, on the general fund budget side, where are you at with your cash carryover? What's the projected for the end of 2025? How much you're gonna have in that budget? And then I'd like to know what you're gonna have at the end of 2025 in your capital improvement budget. And then if you have a 5 or 6 year capital improvement plan, are you looking at, I mean, last time I was in, it really looked great, but I don't know, you know, could be HVAC, this, roof, this, who knows, stuff you don't see. So could you have a 5 or 6 year capital improvement list as far as what you're looking to maintain? So, because that would obviously makes a difference if you got something big coming up in the next few years. So if you can get that to Mr. Ford, so when he could present that, when we go through the whole budget for everything.
Okay,
Okay,
you bet.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and so you're looking at cash carryover in the two funds
Right,
and
a 5 to 6 year, I'm not looking for, gonna buy a couple chairs. I mean,
right.
major, replacing all the computers, HVAC, rugs, you know, stuff where you start getting into real money, what you have planned out in the next 6 years.
We just had an elevator that, when you said real money, I went,
Well,
Elevator.
money.
That's real money.
Yeah,
That's
and
real
that's
money.
coming up.
Yeah, so that should be on there, stuff like that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Your shelter.
Hello. So my name. Hi, my name is Katie Jo Armbrust, and I am the program director I apologize, the director for program development and advocacy at the Grand Forks Housing Authority. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm just going to share some information in follow up to Todd Phelan's presentation about city and county collaboration. So a quick recap of how we got here. So previously, Grand Forks Public Health had administered and stepped up and took on the operations of opening social detox, AKA withdrawal management. That had been operated by them for a number of years, and it was simply an 8-bed facility just down the street from here. And while the program had been utilized, it was something that had not been utilized to its full capacity. And what they had noticed was individuals trying to access their facility because they were in need of a place to stay, not necessarily because they were in need of social detox services. So their average census was around 2 people per night. And that was something that as a community we talked about a lot of underutilized resources, gaps in services within the community, et cetera. And so Grand Forks Public Health kind of talked about what the options were and presented those options to our community partners. And the Grand Forks Housing Authority and Grand Forks Homes were not necessarily interested or planning to open a shelter last year. It was something that kind of fell into our laps of, we had a lot of individuals who were in our properties in either the apartment complex themselves or in the outside, like garages, utility sheds, et cetera, lobbies, hallways, et cetera, places not meant for human habitation. At the highest, we had 18 individuals in our properties that were not authorized to be there. So, you know, as a board, Grand Forks Homes and Grand Forks Housing Authority have discussed other options. How do we address this, et cetera? And they even went through a period where they hired a security team. But what we learned was displacing people doesn't actually address the root cause. And so without the ability to know where people are, it's very difficult to help them obtain the documents needed in order to obtain housing and or employment or whatever the case may be. So Grand Forks Housing Authority and Grand Forks Homes, both boards supported us in moving forward. And the transition happened last year, where we received approval from all the funding entities that previously funded social detox and switched everything over to the Grand Forks Housing Authority. And we opened what is now called the Nest on Fourth in October of 2024. So through that, we switched over to a 16-bed facility, and we were able to do that by changing up some of the interior of the facility and adding a second bathroom. So if you have not been in there before, it is a very small space. We have bunk beds in 2 of the rooms, and then we have portable beds that are used in the 3rd room. And the 3rd room is used as like a day room. So we are open 24/7. We accept referrals from individuals themselves, but typically other providers within the community are contacting us. We only accept and support individuals who are unable to access other resources. So in particular, we are calling, our staff call Northwest Rescue Mission every single time somebody presents in need of shelter for that. And to clarify, this is a shelter for people who are experiencing homelessness. They do not have a home of their own to go back to. So with that, we work very diligently with our other community partners, whether it's Spectra Health across the street. We do work closely with Northwest Rescue Mission, Northeast Community Service Center, All True, a whole variety of community-based organizations throughout the community to ensure that people are trying to obtain services that they need. And it's actually kind of a no-brainer for us at the Housing Authority to be the ones doing this, because we want people to have permanent housing, and we have the ability to support them in doing so with our federal funding programs. With that, you know, in regards to staff training, our staff are all very well trained, maybe over the top in comparison to some other programs, but we believe strongly in person-centered care, meeting people where they're at and treating them with dignity and respect. Therefore, our staff are trained on things like harm reduction, motivational interviewing, trauma-informed care, as well as de-escalation. And some data for you guys in total. So since October 2nd of last year, a little over 6 months now, we've served 134 unique individuals. So that means that they were unable to go somewhere else than they presented to us. Just kind of see a breakdown there. Majority are men, and age ranges laid out there for you. During the day, our staff are working with who stay with us in order to ensure that they have, you know, are able to meet with case management or whatever the case may be, and getting them connected to the other services and resources that we need of. Next one, in regards to the folks that are staying with us, trying to get a better understanding of who's staying with us and for how long. The majority of folks actually have a mental health condition, 45% there. Whereas in comparison to approximately 20% of the individuals that are staying with us have some sort of substance use disorder, whether that be alcohol or drugs. 21% with chronic health conditions, as well as physical disability, with 28%. While we do not have a time limit on how long individuals can stay with us, we've been open for we've been open since October, and we have had 3 individuals stay there longer than 90 days, but less than 100. So the overwhelming majority of individuals who are staying with us are staying for shorter periods of time. 82% are staying with us for less than 30 days. So while we won't take ownership of getting every single person housed that comes and stays with us, it's because they're already working with other providers within the community and are already trying to obtain housing. Another reason that we do not follow or have a length of stay restriction is because as the Housing Authority, we know incredibly well that there is no such thing as being housing ready, but there is something called document ready. And in order to receive housing assistance, you need to have an ID, birth certificate, all of those kinds of documents. And if you are without them, it can be tricky. And without those documents readily available, that simply delays the process in order for you to obtain housing assistance. assistance. So, there have been questions about residency and, if they'll come. I'm super pleased to provide the data. We only started collecting it in December, and that's something that we're learning is there's a lot more information that we could collect to better reflect the benefits and impact. I have the Grand Forks Police Department's Chief Friedman here with us. He and his department are great supporters of the Nest as a resource for officers, as well as Altru is a great supporter of us as well. But data is something that we are continuing to work on and learning from not only our work in the last several months, but as well as other shelters that are similar, what we could be collecting or doing differently. So in regards to residency, again, the majority are coming from the Grand Forks area. And in note of things that we can maybe do differently, we don't separate it out from Grand Forks City versus Grand Forks County. So if that is something that would be of interest, we could try to do that. Otherwise, if you flip to the next slide. Last week at Grand Forks City Council, I was questioned on the amount of funds that are dedicated to this project and the number of individuals that are accessing it. So I just wanted to provide a quick snapshot for you guys to reference in regards to where funding is coming from versus the individuals that we're serving and where they are. One is simply as you guys deliberate your budget for 2026. These are the funding sources we are able to tap into. Northeast Human Service Center is the only one that we have guaranteed funding for in 2026. City has 130,000 in their budget. County, I believe you guys are considering 130,000. And then we do apply for additional grant funding. And my favorite part about that is those are funds that were previously not able to tap into by Grand Forks Public Health had they still been administering social control management. So rather than coming back to you all and asking for $150,000 or $175,000, any increases, we are able to look to other funding sources in order to do so. And I've made a promise, and I will keep to it, that if we are able to obtain substantial funding above and beyond what we anticipated, I would happily come back and reduce the funding request. At this point, we'll need the 150,000, but should know about some of these grants in the near future. With that.
I think another question. You do a great job of numbers with age categories and, gender. Do you have any idea what your veteran numbers are?
We've had 8 veterans.
8 veterans since October?
Right.
Thank you.
And we do work closely with, so both Red River Valley Community Action, they have a veteran program, the SSDF, as well as actual VA.
Yes, I have a couple. You done?
Yes.
Okay. I would like you to start polling city versus county. If you could start that, I appreciate that. Just based on, so when they come in here, let's just say it's Joe. And so Joe comes in, and he starts spending time there. Are there requirements, what are the requirements for them to do? Here's a list of job applications. Here's accounts. How does that work? So I'm Joe, I've come in, I spend the night, I get up the next morning, and I'm telling you, I'm gonna be here for a while. What is expected of Joe? Because somebody else is paying for Joe. What is Joe supposed to be doing?
Great question. First and foremost, when people first come to us, they are given a set of what we call guest guidelines. So it sets the expectations of not only your behavior in order to stay there for the night, but it also kind of goes over, we do anticipate and expect you to be applying for housing assistance. So whether that is with the Grand Forks Housing Authority or that's through one of our community partner agencies and another person who's doing the case management piece, hey, just hang out for the rest of your life. But also, when you've been inside, it's not a place that you want to be for a long time, to have the option of doing something. You're sleeping in a dorm room with multiple other adults. And I think we're really fortunate that our staff to work with individuals to kind of elicit, help me understand what got you here, help me understand how we can support you in doing something different and getting you to a place of your own. With any and all of our staff, I have our shelter coordinator here. We're teaching our staff to work with individuals, and like when I talked about the training that we provide staff, motivational interviewing is one of the key components to helping elicit motivation out of somebody organically. Brett, you and I can sit here all day and I can tell you what you need to do, but how does that feel? So when you work with someone and help them elicit the answer of, hey, yeah, maybe I don't want to be sleeping with 7 other Joes in a room tonight, every night for the rest of my life. Okay, what are the steps in order to get there? And we work with them and support them in obtaining, whether it's housing through us with the housing authority, or there are times where people are working and they do have the ability to pay for something of their own. So we help them make sure they have whatever means they need in order to get there.
Because I went to family court. I sat through there for a bunch of trials, whatever. And I thought it was kind of amusing. The judge literally was having the deputy pass out job service cards. If they didn't have a job, well, here's the card. Go. And so I just want to make sure, are we as fast as possible hooking up with a job or whatever counts in it? So to realize, I get it, I wouldn't want to say it one night, but I went through it, but I get it, but they also sometimes you need a little kick in the rear end too to help you. So are we going down that road? Are we telling them? You know, because from what I understood that just it was rare that day, but apparently the lady from job service, the family courts are on a regular basis to sit there and as they, okay, go talk to her after court and get something lined up, an appointment to whatever they might do. So I just want to make us that as fast as possible. We're attempting to get them into society versus living there.
Commissioner Bearkey and commissioners, yes, that is something that we have, not only pamphlets and brochures with resources on them, but those are things that we are actively going over with everybody who stays with us. If you aren't employed, why aren't you employed? Is it because of your disability? Are you on Social Security disability insurance? All of those kinds of factors, those are all kinds of things that within the other grant funds that we receive, we're required to do different intake and assessments and do them on a regular, reoccurring basis.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I do have one more question. Obviously, this is a shelter for individuals to try to get them housed. What about the cold climate? When you started in October, did you find that your facility was full during the frigid weather? And if it was full and the Grand Forks mission was full, what do you do with individuals so that they're like, I'm sorry, we don't have a bed for you. It's 20 below zero. Where do they go from there?
Fantastic question. We were over capacity, a substantial amount of the day center, over 100 of them. We were over capacity. When we received our certificate of occupancy in the fire marshal, there was conversation in regards to what do we do. It's -40 outside. So I believe the highest we had was 21 individuals with us. So those additional individuals on that. So we're in a very small lobby with 2 little chairs that we have. Outside of that, we were working with another nonprofit partner to help with hotel stays. Very short, 1-2 night maximum. We do work with individuals if they have a different community that they came from and that they want to return to that has resources and support system. We're supporting them in getting that to the otherwise, majority of individuals are able to access hotel hotel or another worse. There's another shelter in Brookston. So that was another, that absolute worst is when, to my understanding, was when police officers in the past has used, the lobby of.
I know that there's some rumors that I have heard about the difference between what the Nest provides and other community support. For example, with the mission, can you give those maybe similarities and the differences that you guys saw?
So, the Next on Board does allow people to come under the influence. So that is the primary difference in what we are providing, as a resource to the community. So we are both serving adult individuals who are experiencing homelessness. We simply have what's called like low barrier. So rather than, the way I explain it is rather than punishing you for being homeless and making you more homeless, we are trying our darndest, our staff are trying our darndest to help you where you're at and find a better, safe, permanent place. So outside of that, in and of itself, similar things, in theory, on face value, might be, or just for the end of, yeah.
And what do you have protocols, I'm assuming, in place for safety or small place for people from clientele that might have with emotions or whatever it is? What are your protocols that are in place to make sure, because did I hear you say it's just adults?
Right.
Children, no, okay.
Yeah, so staff, the comprehensive training that they receive, one of those tools is de-escalation. So it is not funny, but kind of funny how quickly your tone and response can either escalate or de-escalate.
At toddlers.
Yes, exactly. I do as well. So that's something that is honed in on quite a bit with our staff. But yes, we have a good relationship with the police department that should things escalate to a different level, they come in. And chatting with Chief Friedman, the over 50%, 60%, I believe, of the calls for service that have come to the Nest on Board have been for welfare checks on individuals. So when we're working with people who may be under the influence, or if individuals have those different health conditions and we're not a medical expert, that's sometimes we call it.
Any other questions?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Schneider.
We got
No, the,
Gracie.
Come back.
Oh, Gracie, you know what? I'm gonna make it through the meeting and apologies. Oh, wait. Chair Hager, members of the commission, and apologies, Sheriff Schneider, this should be very quick. Had to add this last minute, and I'll explain. So we are essentially requesting to apply for a grant through the Office of Local Government Community Cooperation. And we've talked about this. I've provided updates, and Thomas brought it up as well, for funding to conduct a compatible use study on the area surrounding Grand Forks Air Force Base. Essentially, the findings of the study would give guidance to the county commission and other local jurisdictions on development surrounding the military installation with focus areas of land, air, space, and even frequency, electromagnetic frequency development. And so the final study would then include policy recommendations to the county, townships, city, etc. Our partners within Grand Forks have been very supportive. Grand Forks Air Force Base has provided a letter of support for this project, and the Grand Forks, East Grand Forks Chamber of Commerce, their board has elected to allocate up to $50,000 of their base retention grant dollars to help fund the non-federal match, which I will get into. This project is also in line with Senate Bill 2398, which outlines the establishment of a military compatibility commission, and that would require a compatible use study for the community to establish a military impact zone around any military installation. This grant is very similar to the military installation resilience study that Tom conducted alongside the same federal agency in 2022. It was completed. The cost share is 90-10, 90 federal, 10 local. And those local dollars can be in kind through personnel time, travel costs, the de minimis rate. There are other options as well. We will not need to request any dollars from the commission at any time during this project, as the non-federal cost shares through the budgeting that we've been approximating out will all be met through the grant dollars, county staff time, and then county travel costs, which are already built into our budgets, and then the de minimis rate. So, and I've put this in the document in front of you, but county staff time will account for approximately $32,000 of in-kind spending, and travel another $11,000, plus the $50,000 from the Chamber of Commerce from the state grant. And then after the de minimis has been calculated, we'll probably have approximately $100,000 available for the local match. And the hope would be, the plan is that we'd be able to not have to expend all of the funds that the chamber has allocated. As we are currently budgeting approximately $700,000 for the project overall. Again, 90% of that would come from federal funding of it. Tonight, the only thing that we'd be asking for would be your approval to submit the grant. The proposal will then go to the federal agency, OLCC, who will then invite us to submit a formal application, and then we'd receive a grant agreement to sign, which we would again bring to the county commission before accepting any dollars or expending any funds on continuing this project. Be happy to answer any questions on it or any clarifications. I did include the scope of work as well for you all. Any questions for Reese?
Yep, I would move approval of the grant application to go forward.
Second.
Do you need a chair signature or anything?
We will not.
Okay, on the, I had a couple questions on the, if this goes through,
Mhm.
as you go through the timeline here, about when do you think you would start, or this group would start on this project, on the grant?
Yes, great question, Chair, or Commissioner Beard.
Whatever.
So
Just don't complicate yourself.
I will not do that. So essentially, you would be on the federal agency's timeline a little bit because this is their busy grant season. But they anticipate a turnaround in probably July or August in terms of inviting us to do the final piece of the application, which would then get us to the grant agreement, which would be probably late August, early September at the latest would be my anticipation, as long as they're not too busy. And so then as soon as we get that agreement signed, Tom and we would move forward with issuing an RFP for the consultant. So it'd be a quick turnaround this fall.
Okay, this is assumed it starts 1 October. How long should this take? Say, start 1 October, when would it be done?
So the grant timeline is typically 12 to 18 months with this type of grant. We are planning for an 18-month timeline, but the final product itself would probably be within a year. So within 12 months, and then the rest of that time would be close out and wrap up. So next fall would be the goal, next fall, winter.
Okay, because it's just, some of this is zoning, and so we want to make this as fast as we can, because we're sitting on stuff that we're not letting go because we're waiting. On a side note, then I can't remember when our moratorium on wind and solar expires, but we need to follow up on that and bring that back for an extension if this is well, this won't be done by then. I think we did, here it was a year, 18 months, whatever.
Short period of time.
Maybe it was 6, I can't remember. So you need to look that up, make sure that gets, yeah, you need to make sure that gets extended by us.
Coming due soon. I just talked to Mr. Magnuson this morning, the moratorium, so the commission will have to do something by the next meeting, not the next after.
Yeah, I know this isn't in our control somewhat of the speed, but just the faster the better, so we can make sure all our zoning stuff gets done as quickly as efficiently as we can.
Absolutely. And, throughout the process, things will become more apparent too. So there might be things that we should act upon sooner than the final product, potentially.
Okay, thank
So
you.
I got a question. Mr. Ford, would we have planning and zoning have to meet on that first to extend the moratorium?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Ross, it's a commission decision. A recommendation from P and Z would, I'm sure, be appreciated as a commission.
Mhm. All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Hagan, members of the commission. I have a couple items for you today. The first is a request that's in the packet to refill vacant correctional officer positions. If possible, I'd like to make an amendment to that and increase it by one in lieu of a termination that occurred yesterday.
Mm.
And if you have any questions on that, I'm all ears.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Increase it to, I think it was at 3, so up to 4. Yeah.
Do we have a, sorry,
I
we have first and
second,
second, okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Second item is, I did say last, or I think there's a request last meeting to provide a jail transition update. I was working on preparing some items, but things just keep coming up. So I'll provide you with some information as I think that is pertinent to you and just give you a little cap on time frame and whatnot. We have the captain process is currently taking place. For interviews, we have 5 applicants that we are interviewing for that process. Unfortunately, I was just notified that our last applicant was selected for jury. The jury, not just jury duty, but the jury. So we will not be able to finalize that now until that jury, that trial is commenced. So hoping to still move forward with that no later than a July 1 start. And the last one, yes, is in administration at the corrections center. So this is going to be interesting. But so far so good. We'll get through that as we have the rest of everything else. We are currently in the process of training a corrections officer class. That is not just our correctional officers, is also there's, I believe, Rolette County, some from Ramsey County, Walsh County. So it's a regional deal that's held in our facility. Lieutenant Mack is the head of that, and that's moving along good. So our new SEALs are getting trained. We'll get them up to speed and move forward with that. Then they'll be hitting the floor with more information, and we're moving forward. So far, all of our recent hires are still with us, and they seem to be excited to work there, which is good. So we're going to keep moving forward with that. We have been purchasing equipment recently. And how this came to light is I've been trying to meet with all of the correctional officers in the facility due to personal and professional things that keep coming up. It hasn't been going as scheduled, but I've had time to meet with quite a few. And one thing that keeps coming to light is that there's equipment that is starting to fail, which is posing officer safety issues. We have been upgrading equipment as soon as I'm made aware of it. For example, one is a restraint chair that the straps don't work on it. Well, that doesn't work for somebody that needs to be
That's a chair.
restrained. So we also were able to purchase another restraint system. It's called the RAP. It works fantastic. I just don't know, like Castonia has a half a dozen or so that they use almost specifically. So we have guys and girls out there that are trained on that to instruct it. We've already utilized it and it works good. We've purchased more smock restraints. Apparently the old ones that Velcro was wearing out on them, and they're letting loose so people are able to get out of them. So we got new ones. So that is going well. We are taking equipment and upgrading it as needed. Yesterday I was able to take part in a cell shakedown, which was very interesting and enlightening. We did uncover some contraband in there, but spending time talking to the inmates is also enlightening as well. And it was an interesting experience, and I hope to honestly be part of more of those. So it was very well. I'm sure some of you were made aware, maybe saw that we did have a termination yesterday of a correctional officer. If anybody has any further questions on that, we can talk about that later, but we did depart with the one CO yesterday. The DOCR contract is in the works yet. We are trying to work. I'm working with Ms. Wamstead. I know that I wasn't in the original discussions. I wasn't even relevant when this all kicked off, but unfortunately I am now. And so I've been speaking with Mr. Lance Anderson at DOCR, and we're trying to have a in-person meeting scheduled to talk about the contract. So they've provided a draft. Ms. Olmsted's looking at making some suggestions, as well as myself and other people at the correctional center that it would be relevant to. We're looking at completing those. We were hoping to meet this week. Unfortunately, schedules just aren't aligning. So we are now looking at tentatively meeting up next week to work through it and hopefully present a finalized version to the commission sooner than later. On that note, I have spoke with Mr. Anderson out there about the time frame of when we could anticipate DOCR inmates being incarcerated in Pod 4. And he had a concern regarding the ability to hire staff. Ironic, right? In time to house it by July 1, which I also let him know that I wasn't sure that we would have the staff to staff it by July 1. So I haven't confirmed this with anybody, but hopefully we can start looking at maybe an August 1 at the earliest time frame. That being said, just a quick discussion with some administration at the jail and our maintenance staff, Mr. Krzyzewski. We could be looking at options, potentially utilizing the new Pod 4 to house current inmates in while we do some maintenance in other pods. So that is one of my goals. If we're going to have a lag in time frame of the contract, let's see what kind of bugs we have to work out in there. Let's do some maintenance. Believe me, there's maintenance that needs to be done. And then we can transition them back and work through the pods. We'll see how long it takes. I told Mr. Yashesky might as well stock up on paint. So that is kind of, this is all in limbo. It's not etched in concrete or newspaper worthy right now, but that's what's going to happen. But if things do work out that way, hopefully we can get some maintenance, get the DOCR contract finalized and get it in front of the commission. We did have a construction meeting, which I'm sure Commissioner Ross might touch on a little bit. And it looks like if all things are still a go, that Pod 4 should be approved for occupancy July 1. Not the entire project. I believe that juvenile might be a week or two behind. But I did ask, and I believe I did get a clear answer that yes, it should be good to go July 1, as long as the OCR inspection goes through. I think those are kind of the high points I have right now as far as the jail. I do feel obligated to mention, it's not on the agenda, but I'm going to pull out Nick West here and just let everybody know that the new sheriff's office leased facility is on track right now to be occupied July 1 as well. We have IT going out there Thursday to try to get the dark line, the state line activated and make sure that it works this week. If that works, Mid-Continent is going to be out there Friday working on phone lines. And there's a potential that we could flip a switch on some phone numbers if Mid-Continent approves to go live out there. So we could get a couple of personnel in the facility to make sure things work, instead of being out there July 1 and saying, my phone isn't ringing and I can't access the programs we need to access. So we do have a transition period that we're working on over the next couple of weeks to start migrating out there and making sure it works so we can be active out there July 1. Tentatively, if the contractor agrees to it, maybe a June 30, if he's willing to give us grace on a 1 day of rent or lease. The 30th is a Monday, so that would provide us Friday, Saturday, Sunday to move in instead of just Monday to Tuesday. So with that, I guess I'll separate questions.
I think Mr. Rusted has had his hand up. I apologize. I didn't see you there, Mark.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. Sheriff Schneider, is that DOCR meeting? Are the topics covered in that meeting gonna be something that I would be allowed to be witness to, or is it gonna be a one-on-one because there's stuff I can't hear?
I can't answer that question, because I am not. I would defer to Ms. Longstead. I mean, we're looking at the contract and I'm not sure who was involved with the contract, so I can't answer that.
Okay, because it's just something if I'm allowed to, I would like to be a part of if it works with the, well, actually now it's my wife's schedule. If it works with my wife's schedule, I'd like to be a part of it. But if I can't be, then so be it.
Commissioner Rusted, members of the board, I haven't spoken directly with DOCR regarding this meeting, only, from what Sheriff Schneider has provided to me. But if it's just for the nature of the contract and the terms and whatnot, I wouldn't see any reason why Commissioner Rusted wouldn't do it. I wouldn't.
I guess just the reason I ask is because of my history of contracts and contract negotiations. I think I could be helpful if I'm allowed to be there.
I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn, but the contract is going to be between Grand Forks County and the DOCR, not the Grand Forks County Sheriff, so. I believe that's always assigned to with the initial contract negotiation.
One question. I'm curious, has the Sheriff Johnner down in Cass County, is he gonna give up any of his new space to Department of Corrections?
Commissioner Ross, members of the commission, not to my knowledge. I don't believe that that's been a conversation. I think that he might provide them housing if needed. But I believe Grand Forks County was the only county jail that was addressed in the legislative session to provide funding at this level. So I believe in conversation with the governor, they have the ability to put people wherever they want across the state negotiating wages or cost per bed. But Grand Forks County was the only county that was looking at a wholesale, hey, contract X beds, X days at this amount.
So I think he was adding like over 200 and some beds to his facility.
Yeah, and it sounds like he said he could fill them tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he said he wouldn't have to turn anybody away.
yeah, I don't believe any other county in the state is engaged in a contract that we got.
Any other questions?
As far as the, I don't know where your current bed status is now. How have we, there's been, the news about the surrounding counties, and have we worked that out? Are we trying to help our neighbors as best we can?
Well, right now we have a lot of people in jail. We're near maximum capacity. I won't say the other word, but we're making it work, right? I mean, it's summertime, people get a little more wild.
Yeah.
The place is busy. If you think that the correctional officers just bring people in, get their information and close the door on them and bring them their lunch and their meds, come out there for 2 hours and your head's just gonna be spinning. Like, them, ladies and gentlemen, work very hard, at least when I've been out there during the day. They undertake a lot of responsibilities, and they're dealing with people that don't want to be there and claim that they shouldn't be in there for the charges that they got for the most part. So on that note, I did mention that to Mr. Anderson with the DOCR, that he's well aware that Walsh County is one of our neighbors and they could be in a predicament. And I did ask him if they would be open to some conversation regarding the amount of beds that they required and then that would potentially allow us to help our next door neighbor. And he said it's a contract and it's a discussion we're opening in. So yes, I have mentioned that to him. Again, like this contract could potentially go into effect August 1. It could go into effect January 1. We'll see what kind of terms that each party wants to agree to, so.
Okay, we'll just follow up, maybe Ms. Wamstead. I thought we pretty much had this worked out. So outside of hiring, which in some ways you somewhat have control of, do you foresee a lengthy delay in the wordsmithing between yourself and whoever does it at the state level? The legal, if I can't say it, mumbo jumbo?
Commissioner Bierke, members of the board, I think this is something we could very quickly work out. I think the biggest obstacle is coordinating Sheriff Schneider and I's schedule. We've also been working with other related agencies such as public health. They serve as the jail nurse for the facility. And it's important they have an opportunity to chime in too on some of those medical components of the lease to make sure that what we agree to, we can meet those obligations as well. I think it's still under review with their office. And I think once everybody has a chance to take a look, we're all going to sit down, hopefully before DOCR comes, and kind of come together as a county with our feedback and then provide that to DOCR so that they can consider that before they visit the facility. And then hopefully when they visit, we can discuss some of those terms and see if they're agreeable.
I'm just saying, John, I want to make sure we have our ducks in a row because, I mean, they said they do this. I'm not going to play the back out game now, so.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Commissioner
go ahead.
Sorry, just to comment on that. I mean, like I was on the same page as you when I was looking at a different seat. And now it's $100 a day. They stay here. Well, we're hiring another nurse. And who's providing the uniforms? Who's signing them up for certain medications? Who's paying for those medications when they're housed here? Who's liable to take them to doctor's appointments? Who's paying for those? And like all of these things, and to be honest with you, most of it is medical. I've signed over, well, six-figure, they're in the minutes, six-figure bills for medical supplies, medical appointments, medical services for the jail the last 2 months. So we're adding an additional 125% on top of our original population, right? We're sitting around 220 now, we're gonna add 72 more. We're looking at 300 people. And now we're gonna have to get those people to appointments as well. And so some of the requirements by DOCR versus some of the reality of what we're able to actually conduct, even with existing staff plus the 8.5 or 9, is gonna provide some logistical challenges. And so I'm not the expert on some of that. That's why I'm leaning on some of the administration at the jail to see if it is reasonable and sufficient for us to provide those services at what they're requesting. I mean, look at uniforms, some of the stuff that we pulled out of themselves yesterday, like they're braiding their uniform shirts. They're literally destroying them and making them into braids and, well, those aren't free, right? Well, what's the rate DOCR is gonna trash their uniforms? Hopefully less, right? So, I mean, all of these things do cost money. I'm just hoping right now, looking at it with the added expenses that we're gonna have, I mean, this is brand new, right? So it's not absorbing them into our facility. We're buying new things to house these people or somebody else. Granted, yeah, we'd have to buy them for housing our own people, but they're all expenses. I'm hoping, at the $100 a day rate that we break even somewhat the first year. We'll see. There's a lot of expenses and some of that, is, right, like they put their wants in, right? And we're gonna look at our wants and that's how contracts work. So
I felt like even the meds, I thought it was very clear. We discussed the medical multiple times is what it is what it is and they're paying. So we need to take a hard stance on that because we're not taking them, so to speak, to lose money. I mean, the way we discussed on the medical was that they knew what they were getting and they were responsible. Because if they were in the state, the state would be paying for all this. So I don't want to, I guess, we'll see how the negotiations go, but I thought we made it very clear what the $100 covers and that the medical, and we got to pay overtime to transport people that's there as well. That's added to the bill and send it to them every month. I mean, that's where I'm at. So I guess I should wait and say, I don't want to assume that things are gonna go bad, but I thought we made it pretty clear on some of that stuff that what we were asking them. Okay. And a side note, I noticed Ms. Spain is here. If I could ask her just for a second, where are we at with the yak? I mean, it's tied to this. I just want to kind of, where we at with the act and getting that open and the transition, where are you at on, maybe a quick couple minutes on that?
Sure. Commissioner Ritchie, members of the board, I kind of wish Bill was here. He has more knowledge about it because we are waiting for the fire panel to get switched over to the courthouse. So that's kind of, we're at a standstill. I know that they had ordered some parts. They were the wrong parts, so they needed to reorder some stuff. So I don't really know where they're at with it, but we're thinking middle of July right now.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
Roughly.
All right, thank you.
My only comment, like, that, Mr. Beardy, that was the agreement that we had come to, that those expenses are gonna be yours, it's just now actually going through that in a contract. We memorialize, that's just the
Yes.
stuff that they have to do, but it was made very clear that those expenses are the state. So. thanks. Good job.
I'm with you.
I don't, I'm not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ford.
Chair. For decision and then looking for some clarity. But first is presenting updated job descriptions for the facilities manager, project coordinator, Mr. Grzeszewski and Ms. Leon, based on previous discussions regarding the commission's 2026 budget goals and county administrator's role, requesting to reassign the current project coordinator, Ms. Leon, to the existing position of government relations manager out of an old position of mine quite a while ago. This would align with prior commission discussions that better reflect the evolving needs of the county administrator's office. Government relations manager position is already established, as I mentioned. This reassignment is intended to bring added focus and responsibility in 4 key areas: UL administrative management, support legislative priorities and initiatives, base enhancement and related military community partnerships initiatives, and then county level grant identification management. So the reclassification would move Ms. Leon to a grade 15 step 1. There is room in the administration budget to absorb that reclassification. And then the other is reclassifying Mr. Grzeszewski from facilities manager to director of facilities, which would encompass all county facilities. Key changes to Mr. Grzeszewski's job description would be reclassifying to director of facilities, elevating the position to a department head status, therefore clarifying that the role is not managerial, but rather departmental leadership. Historically, I've been departmental leadership on facilities, and I don't know anything about HVACs or boilers. And this reclassification would move Mr. Grzeszewski to a grade 20 step 1, and I've chatted with him. There is room in the budget to absorb that due to turnover and vacant positions. Just for the commission's awareness, after a discussion with Chair Hagan and Commissioner Ross on base retention in the county strategy, I think we can start to adjust as we're in a much better place than we used to be. So in chatting with Chair Hagan, I identified about 40% reductions in the administrative budget for next year, which includes base retention and travel. So the reductions more than offset the proposed salary adjustment in both. So I'd be asking the board to approve the facilities manager reclassification to director of facilities and project coordinator to government relations manager effective immediately or the appropriate pay.
So moved.
Second.
We have a quick first and a second. Is there any further discussion? Motion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. The next is, you heard from Ms. Ambrist earlier about the nest. So what is before you and is the funding contract for 2015? And both Ms. Morstead and State Attorney Longstead have reviewed it. And so I'd be asking Commission approval on the final agreement with Chair's signature. This is for the 2025 money that we budgeted for at the last budget. This isn't new 2026 money.
There's a motion for
Second.
the first and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Next is the telecommuting policy. During the December 17, 2024 commission meeting, the board made some changes to that policy. And the commission moved to require specific positions to work on site full time with some exceptions. Those are the county administrator, county planner, human resources director, human resources manager, emergency management director, but it also, the board made a policy change that all future remote hybrid work requests must be approved by the county commission. There are circumstances where staff may need to work remotely or make that request. Those include reasonable accommodations for ADA, injured or ill workers unable to work in their office but can still perform their duties, employees with FMLA for a family member who can perform their work and take care of their family member, or other unforeseen circumstances that arise. In visiting with Ms. Thiel, we see this future remote hybrid request as an administrative function, not policy. Therefore, would be requesting that the county administrator, working with the appropriate department head and human resources, provide final approval on these types of requests. And just for commission's awareness and other clarifications, I've been having one-on-one meetings with department heads since the restructure. And one common concern has been this policy, specifically that certain department heads were identified and not others. But my understanding is that this applied to all county leadership and department heads, not just the 5 specific that were named. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding. But the request before you is any future request be approved by the county administrator in consultation with human resources. And
I'll make that motion.
thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Second.
A second, any discussion?
Yeah, a couple points on this. The list that were there, that's because those jobs, when I came on the commission, were listed as being hybrid. And I don't like employees being hybrid, much less supervisors. So yes, it applies to all department heads. Those were just specifically named because I asked for what department at the time were doing hybrid, but that was just because that's the list I was given. But no, that the intent of that was that all department heads would be work. I just want to make clear before we vote on this that this remote work, etc., is a exception, not the rule. It's for temporary. It's not permanent. We're not permanently granting people the ability to not be in whatever building they need to be in. Am I correct in that this is a situation has arisen and we're going to deal with this for a while?
Yes, Chair Hagan, Commissioner Beard, yes, sir. It would be for those unexpected circumstances, reasonable accommodation, FMLA. So it wouldn't be on a permanent basis. So if an employee has a family member who needs assistance for 30 to 60 days, that employee would go to their director, their manager, request to work with Ms. Thiel, and then come to me for review and a decision. But it wouldn't be on a permanent basis, to your question, sir.
This particular one hits a little close to home right now. And so I would encourage my counterparts to vote in the affirmative and allow the county administrator that authority to make reasonable accommodations for people that fall on tough times.
Thank you, Commissioner Rusty. I think Chair Hagan, I think Ms. Thiel had something to add to this.
Oh, sorry.
topic.
Chair Hagan and Commissioner Bierke specifically, the only time where I would see this being something that could be considered long-term for a person would be if it would fall under the federal guidelines for ADA for a reasonable accommodation. That's something that we would have to do, but it's not going to be the norm. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't put something in place saying it would not be long-term or would not be permanent when there's a possibility.
Good catch. Thank you.
Very good. All right.
Just for clarification's sake, it's my understanding the intent here is to amend the policy to allow for the administrator to be the ultimate decider put in so many conditions, I guess, for lack of a better term, so, maybe the motion should be clear that that is, what the plan is to amend the existing policy at work.
Very good. Mark, can you amend your motion? Or-
Sorry, I was struggling with the mute button. Yeah, I will amend my motion to exactly what State's Attorney Wamstead just said.
Very good, Mike.
And I
Second, okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. I believe the last topic I have for commission discussion and direction is the hiring freeze that was implemented December 17th, 2024. And the purpose was to allow the board time to review all positions prior to a hire or filling a vacancy. And there were some limited exceptions, but they had to include a detailed justification and subject to review, which has been going on. You've seen department heads coming and doing that. There are exceptions to the hiring freeze, part-time positions, interns, and then of course the human service zone position. And so I've had some of these types of requests come before me now for part-time and intern. So I just need some clarification, and I think we'll see more of this as we progress, but seeking clarification on the hiring process for part-time positions and interns. So more specifically, is it my responsibility to review and approve or deny these requests, provided the requesting department has the budgeted funds? And then do I have the authority to deny the requests if the department lacks funding or it would add to a permanent county headcount?
I'd like to make a motion to provide the county administrator with the authority to approve part-time and intern employment status.
I have clarification here before I make a second.
I'll second. So we can
Okay.
discuss.
Mr. Rusted, if you're looking at page 71 on the packet there, it was a two-part question. So I'm just going to ask you, so I make sure I get your motion right. So the first question was, the county administrator, is it the requirement that the county administrator has to approve any part-time or interim request, even when they have a budget, they have the budget to pay for it? And the second part was, if they don't have the money for it, then he can deny it. So it's kind of a two-part here. Are you saying that he in this case it's a he because it's Mr. Ford, Mr. Ford is basically going to approve and deny all part-time and interim requests? Because I'll give you my opinion. I'm okay with the department head taking care of it as long as it's in their budget. Obviously, if it's not in their budget, I want somebody to put the X-nay on it. So where are you at on that?
That was the intent of the motion. If I worded it incorrectly, I apologize. But when Mr. Ford kind of gave the summary of it, he said the ability to deny based on lack of funds or the ability to approve based on available funds. And so therefore, I do believe that those small things don't need to come in front of us beyond just paying their salaries through the consent agenda, in my opinion.
Okay,
Is that what your understanding is,
yeah,
Commissioner?
so my understanding is then that the first question is a no, the second question is a yes on the two parts of the question. That's what I understand the motion to be.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I just need a clarification, because what you just stated, you said that you have no trouble with the county managers approving a part-time or an intern as long as it's in their budget. So if it's approved at that level, would it then have to go to the county administrator or no?
No, if I misspoke, I said that, I meant department head.
Right,
The
right.
department head can hire part-time and interns. If it's in the budget, it's done.
Right.
If it's not in the budget, then he can say, hey, you can't do that, you know, the money. Or if you want to push for it, then you come up to the commission, but I'm not going to authorize you to break your budget.
But the county administrator then would not have to give approval to
Right, it
the,
would be the department.
it would be the department head. Okay,
Right,
that's what I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, it's a little, yeah, got it.
Thank you.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking when I made the motion, and I'm sorry if I made it incoherently. But yeah, that's Cindy, you're exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
One quick, clarification. These would be for part-time, non-benefited. We start going into benefited, that's another animal.
Right,
So
right,
I need to specify non-benefited part.
All right, we have a first and a second discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am, that's all I have.
Good, Ms. Monstead. Jerry.
Yeah, I have a question of our state's attorney. Recently on the press, they talked about there's been a national agreement on an opioid settlement across the country. Does that have any impact on Grand Forks County, or we already did that? So we're not impacted by this most recent decision.
Commissioner Peach, members of the board, it's my understanding what's been in the national news is pertaining to the bankruptcy action that kind of closed the door to some plaintiffs, so to say. As of right now, I have not received guidance from Grand Forks County's counsel on the opioid litigation as to whether or not that would impact the current settlement funds we've received or any funds in the future. My initial understanding is that it likely would not, because I believe our settlement was contemplated already. But I would await further guidance from our counsel to say this.
Thank you for that information.
Commissioner Ricky.
I had a couple meetings, well, first of all, the highlight is tomorrow night, 5 to 6, County Fair. This is your opportunity. Myself and the mayor will be there. You can hurl insults, you can hurl baseballs, but the object is to hit the little thing to put us in the dunk tank, because we're gonna be behind the glass, you're not gonna be able to hurt us. So, tomorrow night, 5 to 6, the County Fair, myself and the mayor will take turns in the dunk tank. If you miss, be prepared for a jab back at you. We're not gonna let you go if you throw wrong. Sample might be, you miss, looks like you're a future Minnesota Twin pitcher, who knows, something along that line. So, so that's tomorrow night, 5 to 6 at the fair, and the fair week's all week. It's Wednesday through Sunday. Shockingly, the weather forecast looks decent, so you usually know what happens this week, but hopefully the week it'll hold up well. And I just, maybe some people haven't been to the path, they're doing some things different. We're trying to get the fair jazzed up, spruced up, trying to make a go of it. And one thing I've been interested in is that there's a sea lion show out there, because you don't see sea lions in North Dakota. So there's this, there's tons of events for kids, adults, the stuff. So hopefully we can get a lot more people out there and have the fair go well. So that's Wednesday through Sunday. The MPO, and we had a meeting, the MPO director is resigning. And so we're looking at what we're gonna do there. There's a couple options on the table. So we're coordinating that with sitting, as you know, basically I just go there and listen, because don't take us wrong, but Bob, especially Bob, we don't care about people crossing the intersection on 17th Avenue South. It has nothing to do with the county. Yeah, so it's almost all county city stuff. So, and hopefully we can get that changed too. But so we're looking at what we're going to do there, and I'll be trying to coordinate with the mayor and Mr. P and his staff where we're going to go with that, because they're just as interested as we are, as trying to look at ways to collaborate, combine, cut some costs. So we'll be looking at that, and I'll report back to you.
Is that Stephanie that's?
Yes, she's a family. She can move back close to home, so good for her. I think they have young kids and stuff, so it was nothing with the job or performance or anything. It was just a chance for both of them to get their family back close to home. So she's willing to hang on for a couple of months while we transition over, so that's very helpful too. I'd like to request for, excuse me, Mr. Ford to bring in on next meeting's agenda, and I don't know, because, you know, it's, I remember we have letters galore. If it'd be an RFP or whatever it would be, to fix up what I'm calling the small part of the courthouse, the small section that we're looking at. So I'd like to get an RFP to hire an engineer. What is it, Ms. Swan? Anything over 200 grand, we have to, right, over 200? So it's gonna be over 200. We're gonna have to hire somebody, so I'd like to bring that in and let's say go on, take a look at it. This doesn't commit us to do anything, but we'll know what it costs. And we can't make an intelligent decision until we get that.
What is it?
It's the, it's a kind of the, well, you describe where it's at. She's the blueprint queen on this, so go ahead and explain what you did there.
Commissioner Beerkey, members of the board, I think what he is referring to is the future use of the current yak.
Oh, okay.
So that portion of the building, that they would vacate, but not the full building.
But that part stays no matter what.
Yeah.
We can't knock that. Let's just say the state comes along and here comes another judge, nominate judge and chambers and clerk, court chambers, and we need a whole new courtroom. This area is staying no matter what. And what we're looking at is remodeling it. They're short. The courthouse is short, conference rooms and office space.
Yeah.
So this will get you, the courthouse will get you up to speed, right? They'll be fully able to give everybody room to work. And then if this works out, then we should we'll see how it goes about shifting, but then this would play into us and the ability to rent out rooms on this side, which theoretically, hopefully in a not too long time period, we could pay for this project. Well, have to pay it up front, but we could repay it through rental of offices out of this building. So that's kind of the goal there. So it's a smaller area. And then what we do with the old jail, et cetera. Last I talked to Mr. We're going to fix that roof. We're going to bring some roll-offs in and clean that mess out. And then that'll be available for storage. And then that down the road, we can have time to think about it. We don't need to make a decision on that right away. So if you can bring that in for the next meeting, Mr. Ford, that way we can get that higher and get going on that. And then the other thing is with the budget process, I talked to Mr. Ford. I want to make sure everybody where we're at on this is that he's looking at bringing himself and Ms. Morstead and bringing the budget to the 7:15 meeting is to go through the budget. And so I want to throw this out to the rest of the commissioners. I'll just share right now. I'm not going to get all my questions answered in one meeting. So I would like us to look at, and it's one of the odd months where we have an extra week off. So we have the 22nd, the 20th. I'm open to what is best for everyone.
Just have like maybe a special meeting?
I think we need at least one, maybe two, maybe schedule one that first week and see where we're at. If we're done, we're done. If not, but if you guys want a different night, a different time, we're not voting on anything. There's no policy. If you wanted to meet earlier, if that was more convenient. So I am open to whatever the commissions decide. Maybe if anybody wants to kind of give a list back to Mr. Ford and he can come up with the time. So I just want to put that out there. It doesn't have to be Tuesday night. It doesn't have to be at 4. I'm willing to work with the rest of the commissioners but I just think we need to make sure we have the proper time spent on this. Because if you ever watch some of the old council meetings, when I was budget night, yeah, you better have some food with you. But so I'm trying to eliminate that here. But there was no chance of me doing anything. I think we're much more open to trying to cut some costs now than they were back then. So, but I want everyone to be comfortable with the day and time, whatever's convenient for the 5 of us.
I'll get with Mr. Ford and I can help coordinate. We'll get it
Send an email out, let us know,
Right.
fix some
Coordinate
dates.
a
So
date.
I just want you to know, I'm very open to day and time. And like I said, we're not voting. So
Right.
if you want to meet at 9 in the morning, noon, or I'm on board with moving it around if you guys want to.
I'm gonna work that. Ms. Peach, do you have a update for us?
Yes, the Human Service Zone Board met today. There was discussion about, we have a critical shortage of foster families within our county as well as across the rest of the state. Tracy Van Beek did talk about a committee that she is on, or a task force. And that task force is dealing with the Indian family preservation. And their group is working to try to reduce the number of Native American children that are in foster care. And that seems to be working. And so other states are very interested in the work that this task force has done to see if that's something that they could replicate in their state. So that's a good thing. Other than that, tomorrow is the library zone board.
Okay, last Tuesday, we had the construction meeting, the construction trailer's gone. So we had to figure out what the meeting was, but anyway, it was in the YAC. And the conference room, so, you know, the things are moving along, I mean, that place looks great. We've got, the city has to approve the occupancy, you know, there's several different pods, and that we're still at, Andy? Yeah, for occupancy, and until they do that, we can't occupy it, so. Any other issues that came up, you remember? I don't think so. No.
Grass.
Yeah, the what?
Grass.
The grass, yeah, yeah, it's all weeds. It was all weeds and they're about as high as a desk. So, yeah, so they're gonna get rid of those.
So I was gonna say the concrete and the
The
weeds.
concrete's being redone. Yeah,
We-
they planted grass I don't know. Last fall or whatever, and
And it's all
it's all weeds. They were mowing weeds when we were having the meeting, so. Yeah, they were high, about as high as the desk. So, around up, bring it on. 2,4-D would do it, the grass will still grow. Other than that, that's it.
Mr. Rusta did have to jump off, but he did tell me that he had no additional items to add. I forgot to add last time that I was invited to a leadership panel with intern Grand Forks. Mayor Vichemsky was there, Reed Hutton from East Grand Forks City Administrator, and then Julie, right, from the Visit Grand Forks. Great, okay. President Armacost was supposed to be there, but got busy. But it was really cool to speak with the younger generation about leadership and getting involved in the community. I also was invited back to the department head meeting. Asked to visit with me a little bit. We got some great feedback. The one theme that I had heard is just making sure that we give good, clear communication to department heads when we give a directive. Sometimes they can feel overwhelmed. I know it's their job to get us information, but they can feel a little bit overwhelmed when getting tasks from so many people and making sure that sometimes, you know, we have a project, you know, it needs to go through Mr. Ford and then timeline and follow up and things like that. But some people feel like maybe they're being asked two different commissioners, the same kind of task and different timelines. So just communication. I know that's not, you know, always the same way every time, but that was the feedback that I've gotten. Other than that, I don't think that there was any other updates.
I just want to maybe just before you pass on to, I don't do the figured, it's an emergency to department head, so I don't know. I just want to, you can pass on the department. If I ask them for something, it's when you get a chance. I don't do the drop what you're doing and give it to me now. I know they got jobs to visit. So I just want to make it clear that if I ask for something, I'm asking for it. I'm not asking for 6 months from now, but I'm also not asking for tomorrow. I fully understand. So if you could pass that on, that if I ask for something, it's just at your convenience, to take care of it, just get it back to me. I don't want them to, I saw that at the other board I was on sometimes. I could see where you kind of irritated, where people are putting a lot of demands on and they're not giving you time to do it. So
I just reminded them that they can not push back, but just give feedback as to, well, I've got this going on and it might not be done till this day.
Right, yeah.
If it's for a commission meeting, well, hey, it might not get done. Like they can say that to us.
Absolutely,
Fine.
just,
So
yeah,
that was.
Yeah.
And again, can be reiterated if needed to, but anyway. Anything else on that? Okay. Unfinished new business, Grand Sky invoice. Yes,
There can be a Grand Sky invoice included in the package, that needs approval. But I think being Commissioner Rusted has
He
to drop
doesn't have
off.
to, he doesn't have to,
Right.
remove himself from the
Yes, ma'am.
vote, sorry, I just didn't.
I'll move.
Okay. Second. Real first and a second, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
I,
Motion passed unanimously. Okay.
I move to adjourn.
Very good. Second? Second. All those in favor of the motion?
I.
Motion passed unanimously. We are adjourned.